is a talk about my first white paper, and I am Perryman. I do not stream on Twitch or any platform. So going over a table of contents of what we're going to talk about. We're going to give you an introduction, maybe give you some motivation, help you get enthusiastic about the talk. That's what you're supposed to do. We're going to talk about how a neural network works. We'll feed the data and we'll make the white paper. That's okay. So a neural network is basically you shove some stuff into this network and you have a whole bunch of hidden layers, and you have an input times a bias, or input times weight, add a bias, and then you activate. You can think of it as matrix multiplication. These are the equations. You've got back propagation. That's how we correct the error to actually get it to do what we want it to do when we train it. And it's kind of like gradient descent. You're finding the best fitting function. It's a universal function approximator, and we're going down this hill. But how was the motivation slide? Oh, here it is. So whenever you're feeding data to a neural network, you want to make sure that your data is good. Otherwise, you're not going to get good output. Okay, I think we're back on track. Okay, so we're trying to make a white paper here because this is my first white paper, and I want the AI to help me do it. So motivation. Think of a neural network like a mesh, right? So a bunch of stuff goes through the mesh. You can pass that around. We feed stuff in, we move it around, and we get what we want. So, okay, so we got some examples here. We're gonna need some sample data first, right? So we're gonna get some white papers, and we're gonna collect them to feed into the network. So that's how it's gonna propagate.
First paragraph over and over again.
Okay, so once we have the white paper, we collected our data, you're going to want to chunk it up. We're going to want to tokenize the data.
Write it down. It's good.
Okay, so we're going to need smaller chunks. And the trick is you're going to put it in a bowl of water and help absorb out all of the essential writing that we need. It's a little messy, don't worry about that. Why is it? Oh, there we go.
Bro.
Okay, so you're going to need that mesh we talked about. Right here you can see this is, it gets a frame put around it to help it absorb all the tokens that we created. We'll see some more demos on how. So this is, don't do it this way. If you don't add enough water, you're not going to get all the tokens through the mesh. If it's too dense, this is what failure looks like. I think it's important when you're presenting to show what failure looks like, so that like when you're doing this yourself, some of the problems you might encounter, right? So you always hear successes, but you want to share your failures too. So you need to add a little bit more water. And this is, you could use a little bit more than this, but this will probably work. And then, so obviously I've censored my toes here, so there's no, PG-13 for Twitch, but you put your foot down and you just have to outline it.
Oh my god.
And that's what you have. So give the handouts to the folks here. You can, take one. So these are what I call.
No, I'm good.
These are what I call footnotes, and you can.
Yo! What?
So these are footnotes. I got one for everybody. Probably spares.
Put one on the camera. Camera, dude.
Oh, that doesn't belong there. Okay, there we go. And questions.
What? Oh my god. Did you repeat that?
Husky, what do you got?
So I do this a lot in my spare time. I often find when I try to start to pass the variables through the mesh, the Toshin kind of gets a little wacky. Do you have any tips for that?
The Toshin function?
Yeah, the Toshin function gets a little strange and it ends up kind of being a little too flimsy. Do you have anything that you can maybe reinforce it a little bit so it's not as flimsy?
Well, you really just want to get more data in there to begin with. So like you saw with that tote, having a big tote there, you make it a little bit thicker, you kind of drop more of the tokens, and then you let it dry for a little while.
Phenomenal, thank you. I appreciate that.
So now what?
Now what?
Well, further research has to be completed, clearly.
Yeah, further research. Need to figure out how to scale up.
Yeah.
We started small, now we need to scale fast.
Okay.
So we start selling them, I guess, and see what customers think.
What was like the biggest challenge for your like first white paper?
So I think I showed it on the slide. If you add too much paper and not enough water, but there is a critical consideration as well, is you want to make sure that it's obfuscated enough that someone can't actually get your data. So like it's a fun OSINT challenge if you want to get my address in there, because some mail I figured should go in there because it gives a much more variety to the content. So
is this more geared towards the academic community or for like the professional like business like businesses and like the industry?
it's very academic right now, like I said, because it's small scaled. That's a good question. It's small scaled, and I wanted to see if it worked. This is my POC, proof of concept. Make sure that it works. I mean, I think this is the first one. If you want to see how the hacksaws are not a good idea to use for your method of cutting, because you see the edges.
Camera here. That's the
flimsy.
first one ever.
Yeah, I guess I have just any other lessons learned. Anything else that if somebody wants to start up with this and they say, I don't know where to begin and I don't want to fall into the same pitfalls.
Well, yeah, there's actually there's a lot of lessons. So you saw that mixing bowl when I was using the mixing bowl.
Oh, white paper! Oh shit! White paper! I fucking get it! You're a genius! Oh shit!
These are fun notes.
Oh fuck! What the fuck?
I feel like we broke veil.
Holy fuck, dude!
Sir,
Yo, I've been saying
sir,
this all week. This
sir,
guy's a genius.
sir.
Look at this guy, bro.
Sir, he didn't answer my question. I would like to hear his answer to my question. Thank you. This is an academic environment. We appreciate it if you would settle down.
So the bowl being small was not good, because as it got to capacity, you start to spray everywhere. Then I moved on to a food mixer.
That was me too.
I moved to a food mixer, but then you can only put a little bit in there because it'll spray everywhere again if you put it in the blender or the food mixer. So really, the solution that I came to was getting that large tote and then just using the zhuzher in there.
Excellent. Thank you.
Little button pushy.
Yes, I have a question. Why?
First of all, where do you go?
Why not is the answer to that question.
White Cyber, where can I find the uncensored slides?
You just need to get remote code execution or a shell on my laptop.
I have a question. What is this worth?
1 footnote.
What's the conversion rate for?
You'd have to find somebody that would trade you. So
Can we short those?
we're working on getting an exchange to accept them.
Okay. Can I mint this?
You could probably put some mint in the batter when you're making it. So yes, you actually could. It's a great question. Thank you.
You're welcome.